Ashijima landed on the skyscraper's roof quietly, his feet barely making a noise as he tucked his grapnel gun into his belt and strode forward towards the back of the man in a bright purple suit. "Where's the bomb?" His voice was barely above a deep rumble, but the man in the purple suit seemed to hear him, for he giggled and held up a small controller with his left hand. "Right here." He slowly turned around, the detonator still raised, to grin at Ashijima. "It's hard to get Batman's attention, you know." Ashijima studied the man, whose face was covered in a clown's makeup, his red hair spiked up above his head. He didn't look like any of the villains Ashijima had fought before. "Put it down. You should really get a Twitter or something. Maybe then I wouldn't have had to rig an explosive which could take out half the city just to get a minute of your time." Ashijima took a careful step forward, and the man raised the detonator higher. "Oopsies, not so quick now. Can't get too close, I'm a bit of a commitment phobe, you see." Ashijima stopped, but his voice remained steady. "What do you want?" "Just a little chat. Put down the detonator and then we'll talk." The man tapped his chin thoughtfully. He giggled. "Request denied." Shirabu's voice crackled in Ashijima's earpiece. "Sir? Who is he?" Ashijima's eyebrows furrowed. He still wasn't exactly sure. "Who are you?" "Me? Oh, nobody in particular. Just a man with a bomb standing on a skyscraper, talking with Batman. How about you?" Ashijima ignored the question. "You don't have a name?" "What can I say? My mother didn't like me very much." "I meant your villain name." "Oh, well that depends on who's asking." "I'm asking." "Really? But is it for you, or the person talking into your earpiece?" Ashijima considered the man for a long moment, the tail of the stranger's purple suit swaying in the night breeze. "Sir? Both." "Well they can call me Joker." "And what can I call you?" The man grinned. "Turn off the earpiece and find out." "Sir. I must strongly advise you against cutting off communication. You might need backup." Ashijima studied the man for a long moment. The stranger's grin was wide, and his eyes were bright, reflecting the lights of the city. "Sir. Well?" The man laughed again, a rich and full laugh that seemed to bounce off of the night sky's stars and then crash back down onto the skyscraper's roof. "What's it gonna be?" Ashijima considered him for another long moment before reaching his hand up to remove the earpiece. "Sir, this is an incredibly ill-advised course of..." Ashijima turned the earpiece off and then tossed it to the ground. "So what can I call you?" The man grinned. "Satori. You can call me Satori." Satori. Ashijima considered it for a long moment. "That's a pretty name." "Well, I am a pretty guy." Ashijima tilted his head, his eyebrows furrowing and his voice deep. "Are you seriously flirting with me right now?" Satori giggled, tossing the detonator to his other hand. "Maybe. But I don't do many things seriously." Ashijima's forehead creased. "I thought that you're threatening to blow up the city." "I can multitask." Satori grinned, his teeth almost blindingly white in the night. Ashijima narrowed his eyes. "What do you want, Satori?" "Honestly? Your biceps." He whistled slowly. "God, do I want those biceps? Is that a serious request?" "Serious as I'll ever be." Satori's smile widened, and Ashijima took a deep breath. "Listen. You are in control of a bomb. What will get you to put down the detonator?" Satori twirled the controller in his hands with his long fingers, biting his bottom lip as his grin grew. "A date. With who?" "Batman." Ashijima furrowed his eyebrows. "But I'm Batman." "Exactly." Ashijima stared at Satori for a long moment. "That's it? No nuclear launch codes, no money, no other demands?" "No. That's it. A date. With me. When?" "I was thinking right now. You want to go on a date while you still retain the ability to blow up half the city?" "Yup." Ashijima tilted his head. "You are strange, Satori. It's all a part of my charm." He leaned forward. "So what do you say? Wanna go on a date?" Ashijima considered it for a moment. "Okay. I agree to your terms. Satori grinned. Great. Skipping forward, Satori plopped himself down on the edge of the roof, his legs dangling over the edge as he looked over at Ashijima and pat the ground next to him. Wanna sit? Ashijima stared at him for a long second before starting forward cautiously. His dark cape whisked around his ankles as he sat down on the edge of the roof a couple of yards away from Satori, who watched him with a smile slowly spreading across his face. You look stiff. That would seem justified, considering the situation. What, do you not go on dates that often? Not with terrorists, no. Satori giggled, and it grew quiet between them for a moment. Below them, the city lights and speeding cars twinkled against the black night sky. After a brief pause, Satori began to hum and kicked his dangling legs out. So what's your name? You know my name. But not your real name. Do you really think I'm going to tell you my real name? I told you mine. That would seem unadvisable. Well, you're supposed to be the trustworthy one, aren't you? I suppose. Ashijima studied Satori's profile for a long moment. You might be lying about Satori. Maybe. You probably are. Probably. Satori glanced over and grinned at him. But I'm not. Ashijima narrowed his eyes, and Satori turned back to look at the city. Let me guess. You're an Itsuki? No. Yamato? No. What about? I'm not going to tell you my name, Satori. But guessing is still fun, isn't it? It was quiet for a second before Satori started to hum a nursery rhyme under his breath. Ashijima considered him for a long moment, his eyes scanning over the clown makeup and bright purple suit. Why are you doing this? Doing what? Holding the city under a bomb threat. Was it really just to get a date with me? Nah. I only decided that part when I saw you in the spandex firsthand. So then why? I dunno. Satori shrugged. It just seemed fun, I guess. It's not like I had anything better to do. Ashijima furrowed his eyebrows. You are impulsive, Satori. I prefer instinctual. You should put down the detonator. Meh. I think I'll pass on that one, Minato. That isn't my name. Don't worry, I'll get it next time. Satori resumed his humming, his legs kicking the air cheerfully below them. Ashijima's gaze moved to Satori's hands, where a couple of his fingers were bound up in white tape. Aren't you gonna ask about them? About what? My fingers. You're really not very good at staring subtly, you know. Ashijima's forehead creased, but his voice remained steady and deep. Why do you wrap them up? Why do you wear a mask? Anonymity is practical. Sure, but it puts people off, too. The tape freaks you out, right? You're wondering what scars, what tattoos, what secrets I'm hiding underneath it, aren't you? He leaned towards Ashijima. It makes you afraid, Hiroto. That's not my name either. Any closer? No. It'll come to me, just you wait. Ashijima paused. Why do you think I'm afraid? Because. You fear the unknown, and you think I'm unknown. Think? Are you not unknown to me? No, I'm really not. Satori giggled, looking over into Ashijima's eyes. We're actually quite similar, you know. Ashijima's forehead creased, but he didn't say anything, and Satori breathed out loudly. Here, think of it this way. You have your cape, and I have my bomb. Those aren't the same. Aren't they though? People don't like the both of us for them. And don't try to tell me that's not true. Sure, people respect you, admire you, are grateful to you, even, but nobody really likes the man in the black mask. If they did, you wouldn't be here alone. We're soloists, you see. He chuckled lightly. Have you ever wondered what happens when two soloists try to duet? No. I haven't. Well, I have. The answer is chaos, I think. Satori giggled, kicking his legs out. Chaos. The word dangled between them, and it was quiet for a long moment before Ashijima's low voice ruptured the silence. But I don't hurt people. Me neither. You are literally holding the detonator to a bomb right now. Satori fixed Ashijima with a sickly sweet smile. But you won't ever let me actually use it, right, Yuto? That's not my name either. I swear I'm getting closer. You really aren't. I can feel it. Satori giggled, and Ashijima watched his laugh plummet off of the side of the skyscraper. So are we gonna do this or what? Do what? You know, this little relationship. The whole archenemy thing. I do not know what you mean. Oh come on. Everybody knows it's much more fun to be a superhero when you aren't alone. That's what I'm here for, after all, to be your handy dandy joker, nemesis for life. Satori shot Ashijima a winning smile. When they build a museum for you, I want to be able to brag that that's my archenemy right there, so make sure to try hard for me, K. Ashijima studied him carefully for a long moment. If they make me a museum, Satori, I do not think that you will be alive to see it. Satori laughed a little. Yeah. Me neither. But a guy can dream, right? The tips of Satori's lips were still tilted up, but his eyes seemed sad. Ashijima watched him for a long moment. It's Wakatoshi. My name. It's Wakatoshi. Ah. Wakatoshi. Satori tried out the name slowly, letting it roll off his tongue. Ashijima thought it sounded nice, the way he said it. I would have guessed it eventually. The chances are low. But still. You never know. Satori grinned, his eyes brightening. It's nice to meet you, Wakatoshi. Ashijima studied his face for a long second. I am going to beat you, Satori. Probably. Ashijima watched Satori pull himself to his feet, stretching out his arms and giving Ashijima a huge smile. But maybe I can get myself a second date before then, yeah, Wakatoshi-kun? Ashijima stared up into Satori's brown eyes for a long moment, his voice remaining deep. Who are you? Me? Satori giggled. Haven't you figured it out by now? His smile became crooked as one of the tips of his lips turned upwards, the ends of his red hair blowing slightly in the night's wind. I'm simply a miracle, Wakatoshi-kun. Then, bringing his arm back, he tossed the detonator off of the skyscraper and into the air before glancing back down at Ashijima. You might wanna get that, Batman. Ashijima had already pulled out his grapnel gun and thrown out the end so that its hook wrapped around a nearby building. Within a second, he had jumped off of the roof and was gliding downwards, reaching out to grab the detonator before the button crashed against the ground. A child watched with wide eyes as his feet landed on the cement, their parent pulling them back. Ashijima nodded at them curtly. My apologies. Please have a nice evening. Then, keeping the detonator secure in his hand, Ashijima used the other one to shoot his grapnel gun out once more and soar back up to the top of the skyscraper. By the time he'd gotten there, however, Satori was long gone. After a long moment, Ashijima leaned over to pick up the earpiece, turning it on and placing it back in his ear. Hello, Shirabu. Sir. I've secured the detonator. Ashijima looked down at his hands and started inspecting the small box. I assumed so. Who was he? Flipping the detonator over, Ashijima found that somebody had scrawled a few words across a piece of duct tape stuck onto its back. See you next time XOXO. Sir? The Joker. His name is the Joker. You didn't learn anything else about him? No. I did not. Well, what did he want? Ashijima looked out at the city, car lights zooming and street lamps flickering below him. The tips of his lips turned upwards. To introduce himself, I think.